Hello, welcome to this video series where I'm going to talk about how I made this Roubo Workbench. Hello, welcome to part 11, which is about the shelving, Deadman and gap stop. And here's a pile of ash which has been machined up for the parts. Here I'm just machining the shelf ledges and taking a rebate out of it so that you end up with an L-shaped profile which fits into the slots already made in the inside faces of the rails, and the shelves will fit on top of these. Now I'm using a shoulder plane to clean up the edges of these shelf ledges so that they fit nicely into the slots that I machined earlier in the base rails. Here I'm using different rasps to cut a semicircular groove out of these long ledges, and these ledges will be fitted around the barrel nuts that are in the long rails. Now we move on to some Deadman action. So I'm setting up for 45 degrees on the table saw and doing a very precarious cut here. I was a bit nervous about doing this, but this is the only way I could work out doing it. And with a bit of messing about with the fence and what have you, I managed to get there in the end. It needed cleaning up by a hand plane, but hey, that's life. And the bottom of the Deadman needs a corresponding rail to run on, which also has to be V-shaped, and this is it, and I glue that onto the lower front rail later on. Next up, I had to cut a rebate out of the end of the Deadman so that it can slot into the slot in the underside of the front bench top. And then I moved on to the drill press to drill all of the holes. As you can see here, there's quite a number to drill. Accurate marking out, and I drilled all the way through, as I just pointed out with my finger there, almost through to the bottom. You can hopefully see the holes here that I flipped it over and I'm now taking out just a millimetre or so, and that gives a nice clean hole on both sides. And here I'm just testing it. So the top part of the Deadman fits into the slot that I machined earlier in the underside of the front of the bench top. Pour les courbes françaises, vous avez besoin de râpe française. Yes, that's what I said. For French curves, you need a French rasp. So here I am using Oreo French rasps, which are hand stitched and are fantastic. If you can afford one of these, then go for it. Otherwise, any kind of file or rasp would probably do for this. And of course, finishing off with a bit of sandpaper. Here I'm chopping up some ash for the shelving, and then I'm going to use the router table to cut some rebates along the grain so that we've got some shiplap joints between each of the shelves, and then when they're fitted to the base they will be able to move relative to one another and there won't be any gaps showing. And last but not least, we'll make the gap stop. Now this is an extra thing that you put in the gap between the front and rear sections of the bench top. It's meant to be movable up and down, so it's a separate part, and when it's down it will sit and hold tools and whatnot in the slots that are within it. And these small pieces I'm gluing up here now will create those slots in the gap stop. But you can lift the gap stop up and it will project just above the surface of the bench top, and then you can use the gap stop as a planing stop. And I've designed it to stick up about 15mm above the bench top. You don't have to have the gap stop fitted at all as well. You can also remove it completely from the bench top and use the gap for putting your clamps in. So if you want to use a clamp in the midway or halfway across the bench top, you can. It's got a wide enough gap for the clamp to fit. And I'm just machining out a slot at each end of the underside of the gap stop so that it fits over the short rails that go from front to back on the ends of the workbench. And this allows it to sit down when this slot sits over the short rails, and when you lift it up and slide it either left or right, then the gap stop will project above the top surface of the workbench. Thanks for watching, and if you like what you see here and you're new to this channel, please subscribe for more updates as they come available. Otherwise you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter or Pinterest, so that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you very much. See you again.